Hey guys, gonna be trying something different where I'm just gonna get the last like four-ish matches of a Battlegrounds game to kind of go over some positioning um, mistakes that could potentially be made and some understanding of, I guess, why I made certain positioning decisions and how they ended up giving me the highest chances winning. So just for a bit of background, I was playing a Brand Tethys Boldus Trinket plus Cleave APM Pirate Core with just a scam and anti-scam other units that I was just kind of filling in. In the first match, it's turn 13 against Millhouse. Where this is noteworthy is this ends up being the top two. The things that I guess I noticed, and this is why you really need to be paying attention during the combats, is he has a one Urzul that will 100% outscale me no matter what I do. Other than that Urzul though, my cleave can essentially wipe out the rest of his board. So this starts giving me some really important things that I need to start thinking about. My ideal board is having a late position cleave, and then the rest scam. The reason behind that is the Urzul will hit the scam, and then I can win out from there. I also note that he has no scam cards of himself. I ended up losing like a 40% kind of thing, and down to 3 health, so I'm essentially in check. He has a ton of health. Game 2, turn 14, I end up getting Ghost, no big pickups or anything relevant. I guess the only thing that I'm kind of thinking about right now is how I'm dealing with the Urzul. And the couple things I end up doing is, one, I start saving up gold to be able to sell out of the Tethys and Bran if I find scam. And then the only other thing I'm kind of thinking about is how I'm going to deal with the Urzul and if he ends up playing a Cultist. And essentially, I have the mindset that if he finds Cultist, I'm kind of already out no matter what, because he'll just slam his Urzul into scam, and I can't really play around that. So next, going into the third game, which is turn 15, and at this point it's a top two between me and Millhouse. During the shop phase, my plan here is to just all in and play all the scam I can find. I end up selling the Tethys, and my plan was if I found another scam unit, I would sell out of the brand. I end up only finding the spells scam, so I end up getting as much value off of the Tethys and then selling it out. And I guess the main thing I'm kind of thinking is that he most likely was not playing scam at this point because he was still showing Demon 6. And, in one turn, you're probably not going to be able to find 3 or 5 scam units like I already kind of had set up here. So during combat, I see he did find 1 Leroy and 2 Fungus and has no big taunt and then just still the 1 big Urzul. The other 3 minions that he plays on his board are essentially useless. They're just anti-scam type cards. These are the relevant cards that we need to worry about: the Leroy, the 2 Fungus, and the Urzul. So we end up winning at 90% and kind of putting it into a next match wins type scenario. So here are the things that I start trying to think about. He has Leroy and I have a big cleave. So what he's most likely going to do is put the Leroy next to a cleave or next to a taunt, so I can cleave into the Leroy. To kind of play around this, what I end up doing is pushing my cleave hits as far back as I can kind of reasonably do so. Ideally, what I'm trying to think also is I probably am unlikely to win because I no longer have the scam spell. And really, he has the bigger stats. The couple of things that I start doing for positioning here is I leave 1 Venom and 1 Leroy in the back next to my taunt in the end, and then I put 1 Venom first. And the idea behind this is, one, I want to take out whatever taunt he has, and that's going to be kind of the job of my Naga. I also made sure it's the Naga, if it didn't have 10 attack, I would have put the other Naga up instead, mainly just to play around if they potentially have Beetle. And then the second thing I do is I start putting as many summons as I can in the front. And the idea behind this was I need Urzul and Leroy on his side to hit into scam before I start cleaving. So if we start looking at the boards for the actual fight, there's a couple of mistakes by both of us. One, he taunts his Fungus. Honestly, I have no clue why he did. Really, you shouldn't taunt your Venoms unless it's like the Murloc one that gives Venom to something else. What I did see is he ended up doing a similar thing where he put his key units late. So I probably would have been better to put my Atrocity 1 spot in front of the cleave. The also thing that was kind of weird is he sold out of Fungus for Blaster, and honestly I think Blaster hurt him more than me since he had Divine Shield on his Urzul, and my Nagas, they don't really matter. As expected, we were kind of unlikely to win. In combat, we see it's a 22%, which honestly, given the stats he has, is really good for us. We're already scamming out of him. And I think the only thing, like I said, we could switch the atrocity positioning and maybe get up to like a 25 to 30%. But the two things that we were relying on, and they did end up happening, was Urzul and Leroy hitting into their own deaths. The positioning mistakes that really saved us this game is 1, not cleaving early, and 2, having those anti-venom hits early and having scam late because they don't need to attack. So hopefully just this positioning of these 3 or 4 rounds really helps you in your own games and helps think around how you should be positioning your units in the late game. So thanks guys, you have a good one. Bye.